So, Rob, just to start, in general, just as the world, it seems, has finally gotten its grasp on cloud computing and what it means in the overall context of digital transformation at large. And now all of a sudden, everyone, it seems, have started to talk about the edge. Before diving into a couple of examples and going in depth into the benefits and challenges, could you briefly touch on the evolution of how we got to where we are today in the discussion of edge?
Yeah, because it's interesting if you look back at our history in this information technology industry. You begin to see certain patterns, and one of the patterns that's been quite clear is this pendulum between sort of centralized computing and distributed computing. And it started with, of course, the mainframe. Everything was centralized on a single computer, and you kind of went to it for whatever work you needed to get done. Later we saw things like client server emerge, which was an attempt to take advantage of all the sort of personal computing that was coming onto the market back in the 80s and early 90s, and where people wanted enterprise organizations wanted to take advantage of that compute capacity, and move some more of the workload out into these desktop and later laptop machines. And one of the things that they encountered, of course, was it turned out to be quite difficult to manage that, to administer, getting all the right software at the right place at the right time. Later, the internet was born, and we all kind of retrenched back onto this sort of centralized compute model, using the internet and web-based applications that centralized a lot of compute capacity that we typically wanted to expose to our end users. Then we saw the emergence of mobile computing and the use of mobile devices, smartphones, of course, laptops, and the advent of, I'll call it the App Store. Generically, of course, the Apple App Store, also the Google Android Play Store, and people got their workloads by downloading them as apps into their mobile phones. But then we saw the emergence of the cloud, which became a great way for businesses to centralize some of their mission critical work and to get better economies of scale and utility by centralizing on other people's central compute capacity, that is the cloud compute. And so now we're seeing that pendulum swing one more time. And I don't think that this is necessarily a swing in the sense that edge computing now replaces cloud computing, but rather that I think it's a complement. And it's a complement in much the same way that we saw with mobile computing as well. Very little of the mobile compute applications out there actually operate without being tethered in some way back to a cloud for provisioning, for centralizing information, et cetera. And I think the same thing is true here. But the difference being that there's an enormous growth in what I call software-defined products on the marketplace today. These are things that are used in factories and hotels and retail stores, whether those are intelligent cameras or intelligent turbine engines or even intelligent vehicles. These are all examples of product who get the majority of their feature and function value unlocked by the software that is hosted on that device. And of course, the rationale behind doing that is not only does it add new value to those devices, but it also harnesses the benefits that come from lower latency interactions, decision making, and of course, with all the networking that's needed, all the data that's being generated, getting better handle on efficient use of the available network bandwidth.